there, Sith Holocron from the Dongers of Runeterra, bringing you another Donger deck discussion. This time I can take absolutely no pride in building this deck. I just think that this deck, at the minute, in the current meta, after we've had our brand new regions and all our new champions and all that sort of stuff, so this is after Kindred. Yeah, so welcome to a deck that is just fantastically good at everything it does. It is brilliant into nearly every deck in the meta that you can find on any Legends of Runeterra website. This is just a superb deck that involves control and aggro, which I know is a wee bit of a contradiction since control normally beats aggro, but this is actually an aggro deck that likes to hold back and then smash you with a whole ton of elusiveness. If you haven't figured out what it is by the guy up above me, this is Go Fish, this is Fizz and Twisted Fate, and here's the deck. So let's go in here and show you what we've got. My favourite button right beside whatever you call your deck gives you a full breakdown, your 6 champions. We've 18 units and 22 spells. Now, I normally like to be between 12 and 16 spells, unless it's a spell-heavy deck. Fizz, obviously, is a spell-heavy deck. Let me show you why. Here is Fizz. When you cast a spell, stop all enemy spells or skills. Target me and give me elusive this round, so it doesn't matter what kind of spell you fire. What you need are cheap spells to keep it going and keep them alive, so you will always want at least 2 spells in your hand at any one time in this game. So this deck has been built to be phenomenally good. Once he levels up, he becomes a 3-2 from a 2-1. He then, every time he hits the opposite board, you get a Long Tooth, which gives somebody vulnerable, and this comes out as a 5-2 overwhelm that costs 4, which is just ever so slightly good. And then Twisted Fate. An awful lot of Twisted Fate decks, you will see, really good deck builders going, TF's never leveling. There's not enough draw to level. Ignore all that. This deck has been built specifically to keep Fizz alive and level, and to level Twisted Fate in about 2 turns. And if you're wondering how we're doing a leveled Twisted Fate that quickly, I'm going to show you. You want cheap cards to start you off. You want to keep Twisted Fate. You want to keep Fizz. You want to keep various other cards like Rummage and all this sort of stuff. Poro Cannon, all cheap stuff that you need, because this card, if you've ever watched a Donger deck discussion before, you know that I absolutely love card draw, and I think it's absolutely OP. This is the most OP card draw deck I've ever seen. So let's get into the deck. Poro Cannon is a 0-cost spell. So, that's fantastic. You discard a card, you get 2 Daring Poros in hand. Those are 1-1 elusives, which is kind of cool. You get this 1-1 and elusive and all that sort of stuff. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to slow them down with really good defensive spells that will help remove problem units, big champions, all that kind of carry on. We have a few tricks up our sleeve later on as we go down the card thing. We've got 25 from PNZ, 15 from Bilgewater, and if you play tournaments, you've got to have 3 different decks. They've all got to be from different regions. This, I cannot say that this deck it's solid A tier. It's brilliant. You've probably seen it. If you haven't, this deck just needs to be raised up a bit because it's super good. So that's really cheap. Fizz, we've just spoken about. Rummage, 3 of. Discard 2 to draw 2. If you've only got 1, you discard that to draw 1. So tons of card draw from that, which is excellent. Really quite needed in this deck a lot. It's a very good card to have. And then we've got a new card called Stress Testing. Now, we're only running 2 of these. But it is burst speed. You remove all fleeting from cards in hand, and we are going to be drawing an awful lot of cards that have the word fleeting in it. Fleeting pretty much means that they discard themselves if you can't pay for it. And there's nothing really worse than when you build a deck of 40 cards and then you go, oh crap, I don't have enough mana left to actually keep the integral characters in the deck that you need to win the game. This only costs 1 mana. Normally a good Runeterra player will keep a minimum of 2 spell mana for the next round, if not 3. This, if one of these comes out, say it costs 5 or 6, and you only have 2 or 3, that card's dead, and you've lost it. This ensures that you get to keep it, which is why we're running 2 of. Zonout Urchin That's pretty much our first unit outside of a champion. Discard a card to draw one, a 2/1 stat. She's pretty damn excellent, and I really like her. So, everything underneath here, that's 14 cards. That's over 25% of the deck, costs 1 or less. Then we're going to put in Ballistic Bolt. Now, why on earth are we putting this in? Well, it's dead simple. He gives you an ignition. An ignition costs 1, and it does 1 damage to the enemy nexus, which means we're just going to rat-a-tat-tat, chip, chip, tap, tap away at damage all the time and augment every time that you play something that is kind of good. So let's show you what augment is. When you play a created card, this is creating ignition. He gets +1, so he'll probably become a 3/2, 3/1 at some stage. Another really decent little blocking thing. And this is the units that we're really using to control. Early doors. So up until, say, round 3, round 4, you want an Urchin or a Ballistic Bolt in the start. Fizz is great to also keep as well. And Fizz will die, but we've got 2 other ones, so you don't really need to worry about it. These guys are just great. We are, however, using this wee card. What a great wee card this is. So a follower is a person that you've taken from hand, stuck out onto your bench. Brilliant to put on the next unit that we're going to talk about, because the next unit is fantastic. And to bump it up, +1 in power and +1 in health is just great. Any card is really good in this. So you can even do it to the bot. You can do it to the Urchin. But there are better cards to make this a 1/1. Very good for sneaking in a little bit of extra damage. Quite good to keep something alive. Really cheap. Only costs 2. That's really good. So, how are we controlling them outside of Zaanite Urchin and Ballistic Bot? Well, Mystic Shot, easily probably my favorite 2-cost spell in the game. To be able to do 2 to anything for 2 mana, that includes followers, champions, and the Nexus, is excellent, as is Get Excited, but we're only running 2 of these, and there's a reason we're running 2. We've got to discard a card to deal 3 to anything. Again, that can be into a champion, a follower, the Nexus itself. You can play this either way, but this is a control aggro deck, right? So we're not going 500 miles an hour into doing direct damage. No. We're going to sit back to about rounds 8 or 9 or 10, build up a really good board state, and then smash everything with elusives. And that's pretty much how this deck's win condition goes. So that, now we have got a couple more 3s. In fact, we've only got 1 more 3. And that's pick a card. Now, I said at the start of this video, you will level TF so fast it is untrue. Pick a card is fantastic. You get one, say you've put down Twisted Fate, he's got to do his blue, his yellow, or his red card. Always pick the blue one. You want Twisted Fate to level really quick. Pick a card, take something that is not that important, pick the card away, and you get to draw 3 at the next round start. They all get fleeting. We are also running stress testing to reduce what we need and actually keep those cards in hand. That's really, really decent. So pick a card, 3 of. It's an integral piece to the entire deck. You don't really want to see it early. You want to see it after. It's sort of in the mid-game. So after Twisted Fate has come down. So at least round 4. You don't have to play Twisted Fate on round 4, but if it's good for you and it's good for the board state for your opponent, then drop them down, and then next turn hopefully get to pick a card. So if you put the blue one down, that's 1. This will get you 3 more plus 1, that's 5. Pretty decent. Pretty decent indeed. And remember, things like Rummage then becomes amazing because you're drawing 2 more. As an Ed Urchin, discard a card to draw 1. There's an awful lot in here that does stuff because things are just groovy in this deck. Okay, so that's pick a card. You want that sort of mid-game. Suit Up, though, is phenomenal. You literally turn anything, so you can have Fizz at a 2/1 and just turn them into a 4/4. When you draw it, it also becomes half price. So it's 2 mana, not 4. So the mana efficiency for this card is through the roof. Keeping anything 4/4 can also take out a unit that's incredibly worrisome, be a really good blocker when you're using like a Zaanite instead of being a 2/1 that's really good. You put it onto the Ballistic Bot, that's really, really, really good. So this is a great card. Twisted Fate. Now, he will level. If you can't see how this is leveling, I go back. With the amount of rummages, with the amount of things that we're bringing in here, with like pick a card and everything else that we can do, plus Twisted Fate's blue, he levels on average 2 rounds after he has been put down. If you put him down in round 5, he should be leveled by turn 7, pretty much. So as we're going into the late game, we've got a Twisted Fate leveled. If Fizz has survived, he will also be leveled because he only needs to cast 6 spells before he levels. Fizz's Longtooth spell, brilliant. It's the whole deck just molds around each other so perfectly. So you will probably have 2 champions both leveled really well, which leads you into the end game. So this is the card. This is Zap. Mr. Sprayfin. When I'm summoned, draw a spell that costs 3 or less from your deck. So pretty much, I imagine the person who did this went up here and just wrote card draw. I've never seen a deck in Runeterra that draws as many cards as this one does, and that is fantastic. The fact that you actually get a spell to come back in again, you know, you also refill spell mana because he's in a tune and he's elusive. That's brilliant. So one of the best things that you can do in this entire thing is to put Suit Up on him, which is brilliant. Or stress testing. Sorry, I'm telling lies. Pick a follower, drop him, and then you create a copy of it in hand with a 1/1. If you've got a ballistic bot, that's a created card. He then goes up, pop 1 in damage. It just flows so damn well. But the big one. TF costs 4. ZS costs 4. The Wiggly Burblefish is broken in this deck. Absolutely broken. Remember, at the start, 22 spells are in here. We can make extra spells through playing Ballistic Bot. You're going to get a free spell every time. The free spell will make Fizz, if he's on the deck, impervious to any spell. That's fantastic. Wiggly Burblefish costs 6. I have never paid 6 for this in my life. Because you reduce my cost by 1 for each spell that you've cast in this game. When I'm summoned, create in hand a 1-cost spell from your regions. So you're getting card draw, card creation, an elusive thing that costs 3/1. Then you can bump it up to a 4/4. Then you can do another thing with it to make it a 4/2. This entire deck needs control, though. And I can't stress this enough. Do not wildly throw your units across. That's not what a control aggro deck does. That's what aggro decks do. They don't care. Like Endure. Kill everything, kill everything, kill everything. Bring out Endure. You win with gigantic Overwhelm. That's brilliant. Far better than Fearsome. Overwhelm is fantastic. But this card is so good. Yes, it's easy sniped. But it's also easily kept alive with the cards that we have in the deck. And we're running 3 of these. This deck is so much fun, it is untrue. It's not fun for your opponent, but it's very good fun for you. If you need to climb with anything here, this deck, and deck code will be in the pinned comments afterwards, will get you through the brackets so fast, it is untrue. You could start at gold and end up being platinum or diamond really fast. Just keep playing this deck, learn it even better. You'll find a few little things that I may not have, I might just keep to myself. Stress testing is brilliant. Remember, it's really brilliant. It's only 2. I might even make it a 3, but it's so good. It's so good. And using Mystic Shot and Get Excited for the best of times to hold off units is everything you'll ever need before Twisted Fate Zap and the Burblefish go completely insane and over the top of your opponent. My name's Sith Holocron. Thank you so much for watching. Till the next one. Dongers out.